The shadow in spirituality, what is our shadow? It's a buzzword in our spiritual community, the shadow self, the dark night of the soul, the shadow self. How do we become integrated with this shadow side of us? How can we use it for our benefit? And what is it? Stay tuned, and I am going to share everything I know about the shadow and how to put it straight into your life for your own well-being and betterment. Hello everyone, it's Jaya here from Epicentre Healing. Welcome back to our channel. If you haven't already done so, please can you subscribe? It helps us to continue to make these videos, and do share to with your friends if you feel that there is a message in here that needs to be heard by them. Please give us a thumbs up and do share your comments below. So the shadow is basically the dark side of self. It is the mind side of the human being, which carries traits such as anger, negativity, fear, interference. These are all shadow traits. Now, the opposite of a shadow trait would be a light worker trait or a light trait, which is like happiness, joy, togetherness, unity. So the shadow self is often related to the ego and the separation. So other examples of the light self is heart connection and freedom. Now, freedom's a really interesting trait because often with freedom, many people, and particularly clients that I've worked with, they require their light worker self and their shadow self together in order to get their freedom. We will come on to that. So this shadow self often gets a really bad rep in our spiritual community, or how to get rid of the shadow or how to integrate the shadow, and the shadow is bad. The shadow is very, very necessary. If we did not have the shadow, we would not know what the light is. The shadow is the opposite end of the light. Just like love has its opposite, hate, the sun has its opposite, which is the moon, and all of the other opposites that are here within our planet. We need these opposites. So that's exactly why within our human frame, our human realm, our human universe, because we have this universe inside of us, we also require our light self and our shadow self. The problem, and this is why often shadow self gets a bad rep in the spiritual community and as a concept, the problem happens when the shadow side of a human being overtakes their light self or their light worker self. Why would this be problematic? Well, let's think about it together. If we say anger was our shadow, if we're constantly angry, how is that going to help us? If we're around, say, our friends, we're constantly angry, or at work, we're constantly angry, or with our partner, we're constantly angry, it's likely to cause destruction, because anger, particularly in our religious scriptures, anger is a destructive force. But anger as a shadow, and anger channeled in the right way, is also drive, hunger. It's that hunger that really successful people carry, and it's a channeled form of anger. So we need that shadow form of anger, but it needs to be channeled in the correct direction. So if our shadow is, say, this big, and our light self is this big, that will be problematic with a human being getting to the best stage of their life. They're likely to experience a lot of difficulties. And that's why this shadow self, we need to keep it in check. What else is an example of a shadow self? Fear. So fear is needed by everyone. We need the trait of fear in order to know its opposite, feel its opposite. But fear keeps us safe. So if we said fear was part of our shadow, fear would stop us, say, walking down a dangerous street at nighttime. So fear as a shadow self, we can use that for our benefit. So, but fear, if we take it again, if it was to get this big and our bravery was this big, it can create a problem for our human being, our human self. So we need to keep this shadow side of us in check. It's not bad. It just is what it is. We need the shadow in order to live as a whole human being. So we can integrate our shadow by channeling it in the right way. So what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is, if we use our shadow for good and for self-betterment and for our well-being, such as using anger and driving it as an energy to work out in the gym, for example, or if we use that energy of anger and transmute it into a YouTube video, or we can transmute this energy and channel it in another form. We don't need to express our shadow in a really bad form. We don't need to scream at somebody. We don't need to break something. We can express it in a different form. One of my friends, she gets like a blue paint and like a red paint, and when she feels sadness or anger, she'll start to scribble it on the page. So she channels that energy in that way. She channels the shadow into a sheet. She moves it from her so that it's not in this excess that we're talking about. So we need this shadow. We need it to be successful, and we need to use it in the right way. I was also talking to somebody who is close to me, and she was talking to me about a scenario that she's in, and I could feel myself getting a little angry because I was feeling like I needed to protect her. So instead of just letting that anger pour out here, there, and everywhere, I used that anger for my brain power to think of a solution, and I was giving her a solution which she really liked. So I used that shadow and I transmuted it actually into light work to serve another human being and to give them a solution to something that is really bothering them. So this is how we can use our shadow for our benefit and for the benefit of others. We need the shadow self. The shadow self is actually very strong. It is just as strong as our light self. But sometimes we are in situations where love and light and that fairiness of spirituality, which I totally adore, that fairiness of spirituality of love, light, and we're all one, it just won't work. Because of the setup of the circumstances, sometimes you can't be all sweet and fairy and lovely and nice. And believe me, I had to go through this journey myself and learn that even if you cultivate that light worker side, there are definitely parts of the journey as a human being that you will need to use your shadow traits or the darker traits of yourself in order to get the result, a good result, a positive result that will better you or better humanity or provide a better solution that you could not get if you were, say, using your softer love and light language. So you can see how your shadow complements your light side. And it's a very integral part of being human to have the both sides. We need both sides and we need to channel them correctly. So when you catch yourself thinking, oh, this is bad, I shouldn't be like this, or I shouldn't feel this. No, as a human being, you need to feel the entirety of what it is to be a human being. But from that, you should learn. And you should use your shadow self at the right time and in the right way. And it's the same for your light self. You use it at the right time and in the right way. The shadow self is also a very protector self. And the light self is a very open heart chakra self. So again, that is such a beautiful part of spirituality, having this open heart chakra. It's beautiful. It allows for giving and receiving love, which is a very important part of humanity. Giving and receiving love is a very important part of humanity. But equally, protection and bravery and protecting people you love and protecting yourself, which if we said it was a shadow because it's a way of shutting off the heart, it is really needed. So you can see that the shadow is really an important part of the human being. and we need to use our shadow and use our light at the right times. So I really hope that if you liked this video, you give us a thumbs up and you share it with your friends. Please subscribe to our channel. And until our next video, wishing you a lot of love and light on this day. And in the upcoming days, there's going to be a shift. You're going to notice a positive shift. And you're going to feel that you are becoming closer to who you're meant to be, your greatest version and greatest self. Thank you. We love you from the team here at Epicentre Healing.